Comisión. La maestra
para Asuntos Exteriores y Política de Seguridad de la Unión Europea, Federica Mogherini. Saludo también al excelentísimo embajador, muchas gracias por estar aquí el día de hoy, secretaria de Relaciones Exteriores, maestra Claudia Ruiz Massieu. Talleres que vamos a celebrar el día de mañana, también aquí en el Salón Juárez, y que nos permitirán ir tanto de las 3 instituciones del gobierno federal aquí representadas, como de la Unión Europea. Contamos con funcionarios. Los temas y la alta relevancia de los actores son un claro reflejo de que México y la Unión Europea…
Alta representante para Asuntos Exteriores y Política de Seguridad en la Unión Europea, Seguridad Pública y Procuración de Justicia, México, Unión Europea. Amigos de los de Seguridad Pública y Procuración de Justicia. Muchas gracias, señor secretario Osorio Chong.
Alta representante para Asuntos Exteriores y Política de Seguridad de la Unión Europea y vicepresidenta de la Comisión.
Muchas gracias. Hoy no español. Yesterday I practiced my Spanish enough and I'm afraid that half of my message was lost, so I will go to a safer English, so if you need the translation, please take your time to get it. Secretario Chong, Claudia, Procuradora General, friends, it is really a pleasure for me to be here today to open the second high-level dialogue on security and justice with all of you. 5 years have been going and passed since the first round of our dialogue. And these have not been easy years on security for many Mexicans and for many Europeans. And we today celebrate a second round of a dialogue that is indeed very much needed for our citizens, with the hope that we will not have the third round in another 5 years. This is, I think, the understanding we share. Let me focus to start with on what has happened in Europe in these recent times when it comes to security. New security threats have emerged from within our own societies, and this is something new for our continent. The attacks in Paris and Brussels have shocked our Europe, and they were carried out by European nationals. We have now a choice to make as Europeans together. This challenge can lead us towards more integration among our security services in Europe and with our friends around the world, and can lead us towards more social inclusion in our own societies. Or it can get us to dismantle what we have fought so hard to achieve and what I know very well the rest of the world, including Mexico and this part of the world, looks at as a model, which is the Europe we have been living in the last decades, a Europe of civil liberties and open borders. On a different level, not a security issue, but still a challenge for us, the refugee crisis and the migratory flows are also putting Europe to a test. Again, we can let fear prevail and foster the illusion that walls will make the difference, or we can work on the root causes of migration, legal channels for migration, and on managing a phenomenon that is not going to disappear anytime soon, and probably any time, but can be managed for the benefit of all. So today you will not hear from me that all is fine in Europe. We have our own issues to deal with. And what we are engaging in today and on the rest of the work we will conduct is not one side giving advices and the other one listening or taking notes. It's an exchange of experiences, informations, but also best practices and advices on both sides. Because it's true, we have different situations in that our citizens are dealing with, but also some of the challenges we're facing are similar. And many of the answers our citizens look for are the very same answers. Our citizens ask for sure for more security and to live free from fear. They also ask for transparency, accountability, a security system and a justice system that works for them, for each and every one of them. Security can never come at the expenses of fundamental rights. This is the lesson we have learned in Europe. Somehow a sort of sustainable security that includes social inclusion, active citizenship, participatory democracy, In fact, there is no real security without the rule of law, democracy, and what you call in Spanish, and I would not manage to translate it in English, certeza del derecho. That's the same in Italian as well, certezza del diritto. The strength of institutions is based on their efficiency, but also on the confidence of the citizens and the confidence the citizens put in the capacity of the institutions to give them answers. So to me, it is only natural to hold this dialogue on security and justice. It's really an honor. Just as much as the high-level dialogue on human rights we will have in Brussels on the 20th and 21st of June, and the other dialogues we have in the framework of our partnership. Also because security and justice are also the basis for getting the most out of our economic and trade cooperation, because we know very well that investments, economic cooperation comes stronger when the security and the justice systems on both sides work well and in a predictable way. I believe it is also natural to move our bilateral agreement to the next stage. Claudia was mentioning it now. I was honored to be able to announce together with her, after speaking with the President yesterday, that we will start negotiations soon, next month in June, to upgrade our agreement. And Mexico is the first country with which the European Union is starting this kind of modernization process. We are strategic partners, good ones. We have to bring our partnership into this new generation of agreements of this century. Now, coming back to our cooperation on security and justice, we know very well that the government of Mexico has already put forward important efforts to fight crime, impunity, corruption, and forced disappearances. In recent years, several legal reforms have been undertaken. I know some of them are coming up in these coming weeks, to strengthen the rule of law and enhance security. Europe is following all this work with great attention, and we are willing to help, encourage, and accompany with all means at our disposal this process. There is so much we can learn from each other, and so many fields where we still do not cooperate, and we should. And this is what our dialogue is about today and in the coming years. So one priority for today is for sure to strengthen contacts between the specialized European institutions and their Mexican counterparts. This can build on existing cooperation between Mexico and individual European member states, and it can go together with similar cooperation on a regional scale with your neighbors, because we know very well that most of security challenges we face cut across state borders. So we need to be as regional and international as the challenges we are facing have become. Tackling organized crime, drug trafficking, money laundering, impunity, and corruption very often requires cooperation among states. And it calls for complex responses, mixing different elements of our policies, traditional security with a broad range of other instruments. This is exactly what we're trying to do inside the European Union, also mixing internal and external instruments more and more when it comes to security and justice. And this is exactly what the European Union Security on Citizen Strategy for Central America and the Caribbean is about. A Latin America area of cooperation between police, law enforcement agencies, ministries of justice, general prosecutors' offices, and the judiciary. All of that could only make the entire region more secure, the citizens of the region more secure, which means also the European citizens and firms more secure. I know this is a very challenging task. It is for us as well. I know that from our own European experience, but I also know from our own experience that there is simply no other way. There is simply no alternative to this. The only way of truly serving our citizens, making them and our countries more secure, is more integration, more cooperation within and across our borders. So let me thank once again our Mexican hosts and friends for their warm welcome and for this dialogue and for this cooperation. And I'm sure this will be a new step, as well as the negotiations we're going to launch next month, a new step towards a stronger and more regular dialogue between Mexico and our union, and that would bring a lot of good news to our citizens in the coming months and years. I thank you very much, and I wish to all a very fruitful session of works today. Thank you.
Licenciado Miguel Ángel Osorio Chong, secretario de Gobernación, le pedimos de manera respetuosa nos dirija su mensaje.
Bienvenidos a la Secretaría de Gobernación, a los representantes de los estados miembros de la Comunidad Europea, a los embajadores que hoy nos hacen favor de acompañar, por su...
Invitamos a que nos acompañen el presidio y a los invitados, en verdad, de las caminatas del edificio gobierno para realizar la toma oficial.
¿Ya todos? Ahora sí. Muchas gracias nuevamente.
Gracias.